today we are in the Sugar Shack here at Carlisle Reservation, which is in LaGrange, and it is maple sugaring season. So at the very end of winter, early springtime is when all of that maple goodness happens, where we can take the sap from the maple trees and take it and boil it down like we are doing in our evaporator pan and turning it into maple syrup. Maple sugaring is not a new process. It was started by Native Americans in this area, and they would take the sap from the maple trees and heat it in a different way because they didn't have metal evaporator pans and nice fire boxes underneath. And so they were the ones that taught the first European settlers here, and then they in turn taught others, and over time it became what it is today.
Right now we're in one of our two areas here at Carlisle where we have a nice concentration of maple sugar trees, and so this is known as a sugar bush, where we come in, we identify the maple trees, we put a new hole in, a new tap each year, and then we put the spile in and we hope that there's something in there. And so this is the spile. This is what goes into the tree trunk, and as we watch, there's a little bit of sap dripping out every once in a while. We don't want to lose it. And so if you look in here, this is just how much sap has been collected in the last hour or so today. The sugar content that's coming out of this tree is about 2%, and so to get it to the 66%, it takes about 40 gallons to make 1 gallon of syrup.
Even though we don't do any of the way the first people would have done maple sugaring, we still have more of an old-fashioned approach where we have the metal buckets and we go to visit each of the trees individually. We don't have any of the tubing system or plastic collecting tanks or plastic bags on the trees. We have the metal ones, so we kind of have a hybrid of very nice new equipment, but then also some of the more traditional equipment.
In our area we have sugar maples, we have silver maples, we have red maples, but sugar maple has the highest sugar content, so that's the species that we go for the most. When we have the warm days above freezing and then the cold nights below freezing, that's what triggers the movement of the sap within the trees, and so that's really what starts the sugaring season. And then as we get into those days where the temperatures kind of are equal and we don't get below freezing, that's the end of the season. Also when the buds have popped out and they're ready to turn into flowers and leaves, then we don't collect the sap anymore. This time of year really is exciting. The whole process I really like is very sensory driven. So I mean, we hear the dripping of the sap in the bucket. We smell the wood smoke. You can taste the syrup. So all the senses really are involved.